Welcome back to Beyond the Storm. I'm Selena, your host. I'm really excited to bring this new story to you. Today we're going to have Marissa. She prefers to go by Rizzo. She has a story that probably for parents is really a tough story to hear. And Rizzo really goes into a lot of details and shares a lot of this journey of what the years of active addiction, incarceration, and then her recovery process. So let's all welcome her today. Thanks for coming, Rizzo.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to share parts of your story. I know that we went through a lot of your bio and shared a lot of details, talking back and forth. And as a parent, I can only imagine how hard that was for all of those years that your parents went through, going through this with you, because for the most part, it appears as if you had this pretty normal Midwest lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes to show it doesn't really matter how you were raised or what you went through. This is a journey that anybody can face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Addiction doesn't sugarcoat it for anybody. It can come for anybody at any time.
That's right. So let's jump in and you tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I'll start off, I was born in 1984. It's a different time. It was a good time. And both my parents, I have an older brother. Me and him weren't super close, so I was raised as an only child. I never really realized things were difficult for me as a child until everything started pointing it out around me. Teachers, counselors, so on and so forth. And I started out with feeling like maybe I was a troublemaker in school, realizing I couldn't stay focused, and I feel like it was almost like misguided, energy. I was always all over the place, Teachers didn't know what to do. In 1994, which was when I was in 4th grade, my parents finally listened to the teachers and the the counselor, to get me into therapy. Okay. First therapist I ever went into, she diagnosed me with ADHD. Now, mind you, growing up in the 90s, I didn't know what being gay was or any of that stuff. I dressed like a tomboy because a lot of the best shows in the 90s, females had the ball cap on and were doing the stuff just like the boys, but they weren't labeled anything like that. So that was just my style. And I remember not only did she diagnose me with ADHD, but she's like, you have a sexual identity crisis, which I thought was so weird. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you say something like that to make me get made fun of? Well, when my parents took me back to school and, with the principal and everybody, we got her in. They got her diagnosed with ADHD. They didn't know how to handle it back then. I mean, shoot, I was probably 5 steps away from getting a lobotomy for that stuff back then,
Yeah.
And they put me in remedial classes.
That's a hit to your ego.
It is, even as a child, because kids are mean.
Yeah.
Kids are very mean. And it's not that I had trouble learning. I had trouble staying focused to learn. Correct. There was a difference.
Yeah.
And my hyper, all over the place behavior was looked at maybe as defiance, when that's not really what it was. It was just not being able to control my energy.
It gave them permission to label you.
Oh, yeah. Very well. Yes. Yeah. And, it just started with the remedial classes, and then my peers made fun of me.
Yeah.
And then they poked at me, and it kept going on.
Kids are mean.
They are mean.
They are.
And I never had a voice back then. I never could, stand up for myself. I never knew how to defend myself, but I knew I was different, and it just progressively gotten worse over the years. I remember 8th grade year having acne so bad, not because I was going through changes as a young adult, but because I was on so many different mental health meds.
Wow.
And I remember this one girl, pizza face. God, it was horrible, And I'm about to be 42. It still
bothers you. It still
clicks
hurts
in my brain, you know what I mean? I hope I run into her someday so I can tell her. No, I'm just kidding. But it was that, and it was horrible. And even though that first therapist didn't work, my parents listened to everybody else on what they thought they should do to fix me, instead of doing what they needed to do within the home. So it was therapist after therapist, counselor after counselor, medicine after medicine. And, it just made me feel like I was the weird kid, And I started getting into middle school, 8th grade. And I wanted to be funny. I acted out. Guess what I got? The attention from my peers I wasn't receiving. And it started getting me in a little bit of trouble, but nothing serious, typical adolescent.
But they were seeing you in a different light at that point. So you weren't being made fun of. Now they were seeing you as somebody who was entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if I had to get in trouble to get that attention, guess what? They're not making fun of me, though. Oh, Rizzo, I didn't really establish the nickname then. It was, Marissa's doing that. Oh, she's funny. She'll do it. Yeah, I will. You know what I mean?
And that was definitely something, it was a shift in how people treated you.
Yeah.
So you leaned into it, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I ate it up. Spoon-fed myself it, And, I never knew what being gay was. I wasn't around it. Nothing was crammed down my throat, I just knew I wasn't really interested in boys, and I like to wear my Ninja Turtle t-shirt and baggy shorts over pink girly stuff. I did play with dolls, but they hung out with my G.I. Joes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when I came out to
You're giving me flashbacks of Steven's childhood, too, when you say those things, because we had all of those things in the house with him.
Oh, yes. Universal toys, it's fine. Who said they have to be for boys or girls? I want to play with it all.
Totally.
But it was like coming out at 13 to my mom that I was gay, and I think it was like, I might be bi, I might be gay. I'm not too sure yet. 13, you haven't really sexually experimented to know. And she put her head down. I was like, oh, you're disappointed, aren't you? She goes, no. She said, I'm just really upset that you're going to have to deal with all the ugly in the world, And I later got that, and I was like, what do you mean? Because I hadn't experienced the ugly in the world at 13.
Right.
I kind of had with my peers.
And I can actually, as a mother, I can understand she wanted your life to be easier, not harder.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think my mom, she worked really hard. My brother was the all-American boy. You know what I mean? Mr. Perfect. And I love it, but I resented his presence a little bit when I was a kid, because it was always like, Michael, Michael, Michael. And maybe that's how I took it, because I felt backed in a corner with everything, But it was just, I don't know. I think it's just my mom had this like picture perfect family she wanted. She worked hard to become the president of the credit union. She was involved with the city and officials. So
there was an expectation when you step in that professional career path, you need to make your personal life needs to mirror it. And it's a hard expectation as a woman in business that we have to live up to. So I can kind of understand where your mom probably felt that way, and the pressure of that rolls downhill. Absolutely.
And you got to think too, back then, gay wasn't something that was overly promoted or talked about. So knowing
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
I mean, who else? Yeah. Right? And maybe,
Rosie O'Donnell. Maybe?
Right. It wasn't as common as we're accepting of it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think she ever resented me for being gay. But I definitely know I destroyed her vision of the little girl she wanted with the curls and the pink dress. I just wanted to hang out with my dad and go play in the dirt and go hunt frogs and turtles and make habitats for him,
Right.
And so, and I think my mom wanted to control. So she wanted things to be her way for me, for everything. And it caused tension. It caused resentment.
Yeah.
And, the older I got, I had the good kids I hung out with. Okay. But then I had these other kids I'd hang out with too. The ones I'd skip school with. We'd go smoke pot and this and that. And I was 15 years old and I experimented meth for the first time.
Wow.
It's a young age,
Yeah.
Being boastful at a young age, me and my friend wrote letters to each other, talking about it. And of course, I kept the letters. Of course, adult me would never do that. I'm looking back at my younger self. Why would you keep crap like that? You know better than that.
Right.
But it was something she caught. My mom, zero tolerance, put her in rehab. It was supposed to be like a 3-month program. I was in there well over it. The counselors were so mean to me. You're the only one here with both your parents. You should do better. And just kind of like it kind of screwed me up because I didn't come from a family of chaos.
Right.
It's kind of whatever normal you want to say is normal, somewhat normal background that I was raised in. And it really screwed me up as a kid. And I remember like crying to my mom when they had Wednesday night visits. Like, I want to go. Her and my dad came and see me. I was like, I want to leave. This is horrible. They bully me. And I'm not saying the kids.
The adults.
The person that ran it. And I was like, they were so mean to me. I locked myself in their car. It's like, I'm not leaving unless I go, like, I can go with you. They said, if you take your daughter out, we'll get a court order where you lose custody of her and she's ordered to be here.
Oh my.
And that's a threat. My mom was like, well, you're going to have to finish it, you know? And getting out of there, it was like going back to school, trying to remain normal, you know, in this, in high school years. So you just got out of rehab. All the good kids that I hung out with, the ones that were welcome at mom and dad's house, the ones that could come over for sleepovers and events. And I was like, yeah. And then what were you in there for? Meth? Oh.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like little bit by little bit, you just saw people just kind of backing up a little
away.
bit. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I had this destructive behavior that came with it. And then it was like overnight, these good kids no longer were existent in my life. And
well, they probably had parents behind that too.
Absolutely.
They probably had parents going, no, stay away from that.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that made it, you know, they were probably welcome at your house, but were you welcome at theirs?
I don't know if they were even welcome at mine after going to rehab. They were probably like, she's the troublemaker, stay away from her.
Right.
And I got out and, you know, I was skipping school. And I remember, you know, Loretta was her name, the vice principal. Her and my mom were on a first name. Loretta,
that's
Cindy
never
again.
good.
Loretta, this is Cindy, you know, and it was to the point where they were getting ready to drop me from school, you know, and I couldn't, I just kept skipping. And then when it was like that little break of trying, I was like, I remember a minute late to that class. She's like, nope, I'm done. I was like, now that I'm starting to try, it takes me being like, it was like a minute or two late. And the classes were opposite ends of the school. So even if I'm running in between classes, I was almost going to be late. And, you know, that was that victim mentality that sunk in at an early age.
Yeah.
Why me? Poor me. You know, which that's kind of like a horrible thing to have, you know. Suck it up, buttercup. Time to move on.
Right.
You know. And I got put on probation. I got dropped from school. And I got, it was like in-school detention. Mm-hmm. Okay. And my probation officer's like, I'm going to give you a 3-strike rule. After that, you're done. And I mean, within 2 months, got in a fight, stole this girl's wallet, and I got caught with weed. And I was probably about 15. Yeah, going on to 16. And yeah, about going on to 16. And I got put in juvie for like 2 weeks. So for all that. And I remember my probation officer came and see me, and she was just like, you know, I told you, you know, well, I ended up getting put in an alternative school, you know, which is where the kids that are...
Where you didn't know they were going to show you the rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's house them all together.
Yeah.
It becomes this, oh, you haven't done it this way? Oh, you don't know about this?
Yeah.
It's just where you get a better education on how to screw up.
Yeah. And in being on all these different meds, on and off, they didn't work, they did work. My emotions were already, and in growing into a young adult, our emotions are already out of whack.
Right.
You know, and then you have these medicines irregulating your emotions. So I ended up going to this alternative school, and I hated it. You sit in these cubicles that were like, they had blinders. And I remember the guy that was the teacher, was a big old guy. And I remember for lunch, he'd bring like 6 packs of pudding cups. And he'd lick the cups, and it was just like, I hate it here. I hate it. I don't know what I've done to be here. I'm miserable, you know, and I stopped going. Well, I got put in Gateway School, which majority of those kids that are there are DYS, Division of Youth Services, which is like the next step after juvenile probation. Mm-hmm. And I went there for school. I had caseworker, you know, and I wanted to be detention, you know, took on that behavior. You know, I want to be the one that gets the attention by sticking out, getting everyone's attention, even if I have to be a jerk, even if I have to be funny at the wrong time,
right?
You know, and I was ready to get done with this program. And I remember at one point really putting an effort to try, because every week they'd have case management meetings to level people up. And it was like week after week, well, you're still not doing it. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm not doing. There goes that victim stance. Why me? I'm trying. You're against me.
Right.
The whole world's against me. I was so mad. And I said, you know what? I'm done trying. I'm done going. What's the point? They don't
Right.
care.
Yeah.
And
Nobody recognizes when I am trying, so why should I try?
yeah. And that was a very easy mentality at my age to have. Who cares? I'm done.
Yeah.
Hands in the air. I quit. Who cares? And, well, because I quit going, my case management put, like, I guess it'd be like a warrant or whatever it's called. And I went to Delmena Woods. And they sanctioned me there. I wasn't there for very long. It was like a little over 30 days. And it was a boot camp out in the middle of the woods. Out past,
wow.
I think it's shut down now.
Wow.
Probably because it's sketchy. And I got back expecting to get back into the program and, hopefully this will, they'll see some change. I'm ready. And I remember being sanctioned there because I wasn't actually in the program. I was only sanctioned. I could not talk. I just had to sit there and learn. I couldn't talk to other people. I couldn't ask questions in groups. I just had to sit there. It was a weird, it like mentally messed with me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm a talker, so I'm like, what do you mean I can't talk? It was like my fingertips were sweating. I'm like, what do you mean I can't talk?
Your fingertips are
I
sweating.
can't,
That's awesome.
And I got back and they were like, well, you just turned 17, so we're going to look at you as an adult and just release you. And I'm like,
Wow.
so what was that point to do that?
Yeah, put you through that just to release you.
And a week after me being out, I had a friend that came over who was in the program, the Gateway program, and she didn't want to go to school that day. Her mom dropped her off at my house just to turn around and call, because her mom wasn't going to fight with her about going. I'll just take you where you want to go, and I'll call your caseworker. Cop showed up. We were smoking weed, and it was the first charge I got a week after being released. Of course,
And how old were you then?
17. Yeah. Mm-hmm. First charge, And it was a snowball effect. And peace disturbance, minor possession of alcohol, and I started living this life at 17. I'm not going to school. I'm not working. I don't want to work. My parents will do things for me. I live there. Spoiled brat mentality, entitled or whatever.
Entitled. Mm-hmm.
And I started drinking. At that age, we started drinking, get cases of beer, go to the creek, do all that. But I love to drink. Love the way it made me feel. Mm-hmm. I felt like I wasn't in my head and I could be this free-spirited person without feeling like I was a prisoner of my own mind. And I drank a lot. I drank so much that I started getting shakes in the morning.
Wow.
At 17, 18.
Wow.
Isn't that wild at that age?
That's crazy.
And, I got in a long-term relationship and it was bad. She was...
Was this your first long-term relationship?
Yeah. And she mostly had been with men. So it was just on and off with her and just drama with her, And we partied, we had fun, we were young, whatever. Go on to another relationship. And I, at this point, started taking pain pills. This is the harsh reality. I've never taken a pain pill until my mom gave me one. You know? And
that's not uncommon, though.
It's not. But her mind, she takes them regulated. Mm-hmm. So she thinks, hey, if I give you one.
She thinks they're safe.
She thinks they're safe. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm bashing my mom.
We all thought they were safe. We were told they were safe.
And you got to remember, it was at a different time back then. It's crazy how so much has changed, But I started getting into pain pills, drinking less. I don't really know what stopped the alcohol cravings. Maybe just getting locked up. By the time I was like 22, I've been arrested over 100 times in Joplin City Jail. Ongoing.
Okay, hold on now. By the time you're 22, you have 100 arrests.
Yeah.
That had to have been quite a chaotic period of time from 17 to 22.
Like almost every weekend. Peace disturbance, minor possession of alcohol, just...
And who was, did you have to hire attorneys? Were you managing that? Was mom and dad paying for attorneys?
At first, mom and dad would bond me out. Mm-hmm. Mom and dad would help me out. But over the years, mom and dad did not bail me out.
Yeah, they had to step back at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I do remember that, my mom, when she tried to fix me and control me as a child, she chose to put me with therapists to help fix me, to change me, to help reel me
She
in.
reached for the tools that she knew.
Yeah.
Probably.
But when I became an adult and she couldn't just put me in with therapy, her best way to do it was, I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to press charges.
It was the only tool she probably knew.
And oh God, it intensified my resentment for my
Sure.
mom. And we would go toe to toe. My mom, even after having cancer and losing all her weight, 90 pounds, she still was, you shouldn't be this little and this feisty. You know what I mean? And then she wonders where I get it from. But, and it progressively got worse. And me and my ex, our opiate addiction, we started taking them a lot. I mean, to the point where I was a bad opiate addict. She worked the 9 to 5. I sold a lot of weed to maintain our addiction. And my job as the hustler or whatever I did sufficed when pills were coming in. But as soon as pills stopped coming in, I was a loser, I'm a dumbass. And it was the most physically, mentally abusive relationship I've ever
It was toxic.
Disgustingly.
And then you add the addiction with it, and it just was a recipe for disaster.
It was. And, the last year her and I were together, I remember she worked like a double, 16-hour shift, picking up the slack because I'm, and it's like it didn't even matter what I sold weed-wise because it was all going to pills. I didn't want to be sick. I hated that feeling. Like it had a hold on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the last year her and I were together, I had a friend of mine, come over here. I have a friend that's showing up that wants to buy some weed. I get over there. He goes, well, they're not showing up, but I have something to smoke with you if you smoke with me. And he pulled out some dope. Now, I dabbled with dope when I was a young teenager, really hadn't touched it. And then, you know what I said? I said, wow, this is the day I didn't have pills. This helps me from being sick.
Okay, so go back and explain what you mean by dope.
Meth.
Mm-hmm.
Dope sick from the pills means you're withdrawing. Withdrawing from the pills, where that's what keeps you in that constant cycle. You don't want to be sick. You're not even taking them to get high. You're taking them to feel okay. And, I went over there that day to his house and wow, the meth really, and it was more available than pills were becoming. I was losing connects, couldn't find them here. They were charging too much. Hey, I can just get a little bit of meth and I'm good. And she worked these 16-hour shifts overnight. I'd be hanging out with my friends, getting hella high at the house. Of course, she'd come home and sleep most of the day, and I'd act like I'd been asleep all night. So I hid it from her. Our stuff got so bad. And then when we broke up, it was different. I lived with a couple friends that took me in, that had my back, but I was so lost in my addiction, and it was just like chaos.
Yeah.
The chaos reeled in.
Well, I think probably my guess would be, from how you're describing it, is you sort of had you played a role in that relationship. You had a home, you had a place that was your base, and then all of it got taken out from underneath you. But your addiction remained the same.
Yep. And after I lived with those friends, I moved in with my buddy because the friends I originally moved in with, they were like, they worked, they drank on the weekend, they partied, but it was like...
They were social.
Social, yeah.
Yeah, they were social users.
But I moved in with my buddy because him and I got high together. And his wife and kids just left him, and he had a spare room.
Oh, and he had all the reason to get high, too.
Yeah, so we'll just destroy each other here because we're both drowning in our own chaos right now.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad, get a job, you need to do this. And even though I was out of control, and that was just the beginning for the severe drug use, but it was just like my mom tried to control things, and instead of trying to understand, she destroyed by controlling. And it made me resent her. And I remember later in the years, like, looking at my dad, like, because I was a daddy's girl. My dad was so cool, and I would like, damn, man, like, she's wrong. Like, tell her she's wrong, so maybe that will stop her bullshit,
Right. You wanted him to advocate for you.
But he loved her.
Yeah.
And he defended her. And that's what love is. And I admire that.
Do you see that now?
Yeah,
do you
I
see
do.
it
I
now?
didn't then. I was like, oh, he such a pushover. God.
Right, right.
He knows being an
But
asshole.
but you know what? Do you respect him a little bit more for it?
No, not a
He
little
had
more,
her
a lot
back.
more.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what love is. That's what you do. And you know what they did probably behind closed doors? Discuss things differently.
Yeah.
And
They probably fought about it because he probably did try to have your back.
Yeah.
You know, that's what parents do. They'll have those fights behind the doors, but we come out, we're united.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, it made me be shown, like, because I never seen them fight. They were married happily in love for 42 years, you know? And it just, you know, after I moved out from my friend's house, the guy that I was using with, you know, I lived in my SUV. And the arrest, let's knock that over, sorry. And the arrest proceeded to go on further, you know, getting in trouble. And I thought it was fun. You know, oh, here I am. I'm getting arrested again. Like I'm some big badass, you know, keep getting in
They
trouble.
all know me.
Yeah, they know me. Like that attention. I thrived on it.
Yeah.
I love the chaos. You know, I was pretty heartbroken. But I look back, I wasn't heartbroken from the breakup from the relationship. I was heartbroken because I allowed somebody that was in my same position to paint me like the monster. Why they were just this 9 to 5, I'm the one that works. No, you work because you want me to hustle for our pills. And instead of trying to show everybody I'm not a monster, I became the monster.
Well, you got painted as the monster, so I might as well be the monster.
And that probably was, you know.
You thought I was a monster, you just wait.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And the first girl, and we weren't even together, that like out of all that I started vibing with and I liked, he's very narcissistic. Someone where I was at, shouldn't even involve myself with her, but it was somebody who gave me attention in a way that
you got love bombed.
Oh God,
you got
I
love
know.
bombed.
And she was a horrible person. She really was. I hope she sees this. She'll know. She'll know. But
well, all narcissistic relationships start with love bombing. So
yeah, you know, I just found that out the other day. It's like, I love you, I love you, I love you. Get reeled in. You're just like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's
You know?
exactly how it works.
And I remember being upset, like, because I went to jail. I was in county. And she was like, I called her and she's like, let's just start over. You get out, let's have a fresh start. She was with my mom and dad when they picked me up, you know, from the jail. She's hiding in the back seat. I was so excited. She came and seen me. She's like, I got to go to work tonight. When I get off, you come stay with me. She never messaged me. And I was just like, okay, keep focused. I was going to stay clean. And then it was like a few days later, I was like, I don't want to blow her up. I don't want to seem like I'm crazy. I've kind of messaged her here and there. She won't respond. I hit up a friend. I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to get high, you know? And I showed up at her house high, like I was going to cause a scene. Like, how are you going to do me like this? Just to see her ex's car in the driveway. Oh, okay. Exactly. Okay. So I wasn't numb enough, I realized, from smoking it. I needed to be high. And I lied to my friend that I've shot up before and had him load up a syringe and fire it in my arm. And boy, I didn't feel anything. And I promise you, I felt like God in that moment, you know? And that's the evil.
So that was your first time shooting dope?
Yeah. Yeah. And my buddy, you know, and I was stuck. I was afraid of needles. I went to the hospital earlier that year, scared to get poked and have blood work done. Months later, I'm jamming a needle in my arm, you know?
Isn't that funny how it goes from the reality of this is something that's discomfort to now I have to have it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I look back at it, you know, and it's so gross. You know, I got to a point where I'd be in a trap house. Anybody got a clean one? No, I got this one I've used. I don't care. Give it to me.
Yeah.
I'll boil it.
It's where it takes you.
Yeah. And it's like, God, that's so crazy to look at it. And you're like, I wasn't raised around that. It's like, it's just.
Well, what's crazy is that you grow up in a pretty normal environment where looking at somebody that's in the end stage, that you can't relate to it, but then fast forward years and you're that person.
Yeah.
And you wonder, how did I get here? What course took me so off that this is where it's at?
Yeah.
You know? And you don't think about all of those left turn, right turn, left turns that got you there, but there you are.
Yeah. And it's recovery that got me there. And actually doing treatment in prison, which is behavior modification, because it's not, they do things a little different. I feel like they give you positions in there and then they take it away because they want you to respond. They want to see how you react. Mental thing,
Right.
But when you first get there, you have to write your story out. And when I write it out, I was like, dang, it really did start. It was, and I was angry at my mom. And, in the time her and dad would call the cops. Like, my dad had an '08 sport track truck, Ford truck. Loved it, And my SUV got taken because it was in my ex's name because I never had a license. So when it got impounded for me lying to the cops, she took it.
Yeah.
And wouldn't give it back to me. Apparently I didn't deserve it. The reason why me and her aren't together is horrible things like that she would do. So my dad let me take his truck over, and there'd be times he's like, just come by the house today so we can take it, get the oil changed. No, I'm not. I'm too high. I'm not going anywhere that I have to stop in a normal environment.
Right.
I'm too high. I'll be weird or something, and they would call the cops.
At least you had the understanding that you definitely couldn't pull off in a normal environment. At least you had that understanding.
Maybe I just felt guilty too, being around my parents.
Like you couldn't hide it from them.
Yeah.
They would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would come there when I was ready to sleep and eat or need something.
Yeah. When you needed the help of just their support.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were definitely probably looking for the comfort.
Yeah.
When you needed it, be in that mind frame.
Yeah. And of course, when it got that bad, I would get so angry. I would call my parents, and what are you doing with your life? You got a job yet? How about you guys just ask if I'm okay if I ate today?
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't because they were angry at me.
Do you ever think that maybe it was because they hadn't been shown that way? They were being told tough love? Because that's all that was being advertised back then.
Oh, yeah.
Tough love was all. Just Say No campaign was massive when you were a kid going to school, right?
No, yeah, it was.
But now we
that.
hear stuff about meet them where they're at, harm reduction. Now we're being educated in a way that is showing up where they're at, like what you're describing. Like I just needed them to show up where I'm at.
Yeah.
And ask them, do you need me to bring you something to eat?
Yeah.
So we are educating now in that way. But we didn't know as parents to do anything other than what counseling, Nancy Reagan on television was saying to do. That's all the education parents had at the time. And I'm not trying to advocate for your parents. I have never met them, but I was that same parent too.
Yeah.
And when you get educated, when you get more tools, you use those tools. It was probably the tools they had at the time.
Yeah. And like I said, I would get to a point where I knew I would appreciate the effort my parents put in. And I remember the first time I said that, I said, I'm not there yet though. I'm still angry.
Yeah.
And because I remember one time, my dad would be like, bring the truck to the house. I want to check the oil. You're running the wheels off of it, and I'm like, oh, they're so mean. They're horrible. They literally are letting me drive the truck to live out of while I'm getting high. They're so horrible.
But you couldn't see it then.
No. But if I wouldn't meet up, you know what they would do? Report it stolen. Drop the charges after I sit in jail for a few days to prove a point. And it was just like, God dang, man. It's like, it was frustrating. But, one time when that happened, a friend of mine, a week after I got locked up, we hung out a week before me getting locked up. She is still missing from 2018. What if I was with her?
Yeah.
My friend got shot and killed in a hotel room that I hung out at, the Trap Hotel. What if I was there? I'm the peacemaker. I probably would have been in the middle. Mm-hmm. My other friend got a trafficking charge. She was getting it from Oklahoma, and she was like, as soon as my guy calls me and puts me on, I'm putting you on. 3 different things I could have been involved with that were way serious than what I was sitting in jail for. And it was like I was so angry. And then I remember friends being with me, and I'm like, man, my parents are being jerks. They're like, let us go. They're going to call the cops, aren't they? Everybody knew how my parents were. And it was just like, it made me panic. Like nobody wanted to be around me. Like,
so that was their tool.
Yeah.
That was their tool.
Yeah.
And because I was the same way.
Yeah.
I was going to be the crazy mom because it was the best tool, and it had an effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got so mad, anger and resentment, that's an ugly jacket to wear,
Yeah.
and I,
Well, it gives you the excuse to stay in your anger. It fuels it, and it keeps you there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And, my mom, I don't think ever wanted to take accountability for things that she may have done wrong. Yeah. That would have been too easy or maybe too hard,
Well, okay, so like I said, never met your mom. But it's hard as the mom to admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be the leader.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to be the educator, the person that sets everything in motion for you. So when we have to sit back and take some accountability for things that we did wrong, that's counterproductive in our world.
Like you're relating. You're like, dang it, yeah. You're feeling my mom's feelings right now.
I am.
And if you would have asked me then, my addiction, I hate them. I want them to die. I don't give a fuck. Oh, God, thinking that now, like, literally makes me sick to my stomach, you know? But that's where we're at.
But that's where the addiction was at.
Yeah.
I
don't
heard
you dare
plenty
stop
of
me
those.
from getting high.
Right.
You're horrible. What do you mean I can't hang out with my other junkie friends? Mm-hmm. You're a piece of shit. All the horrible names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for moms that are listening to this, they've all experienced that too. They've all had their child, their loved one tell them, I hate you. You're a bitch. Get the fuck out of my life. All of the crazy things that are said to us. And I know as a mom, I got to be good as duck, water on the duck's back. That stuff just rolled right off of me.
Yeah.
Because I knew that wasn't my son speaking. That was his addiction. That was his resentment that was driving his addiction. I hope that you have some comfort in knowing she probably let a lot of that roll.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to say too, I'm not going to tone it down because my mom poked and poked. She got to the point there towards the end where she wanted a reaction so she could be the victim. And there'd be times I would just show up, can I get a shower and something to eat? And you would hear in the other room, just, why are you talking so loud about me and talking horrible about me to Dad? And Dad's not even responding. She wants me to hear, but she don't want to say it to me. You know what I mean?
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Very passive aggressive.
And there'd be times me and my dad would get in an argument and my mom would get in the middle of it and I'd put my hand she'd fling herself back. She hit me and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I gotta leave. She's like, I'm calling the police. And I'd like start sweating. I'm like, oh my God. And it's like, she could say anything at this point. They're gonna believe her. Here I am, the problem child in Joplin, and.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna say this. Again, I don't know your mom.
Right.
But I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
I am, because everyone who's had a story with a tumultuous relationship with a parent, there's always two sides to a story, and even a third side, which is, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I always want to make sure that I make my guests understand, regardless of the relationship you had with your parents, if you didn't get fulfilled with the love and the support that you needed, I know that your parents aren't living anymore, but I know that for me as a parent, I'm going to say to you, you deserved it. You deserved it.
Yeah.
And
that's why I say it's like that wouldn't have been there if I wasn't in my addiction, but the butting head started before the addiction, and becoming an addict just fueled that tension, the head butting, you know what I mean? And like I said, then I couldn't stand it. Now you wouldn't even hear me speak ill about my mom. I wish, I've lost both my parents. I wish they were still here. Any parent out there dealing with their kid with addiction, the only thing I can tell you, don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up on them. And it doesn't matter what you have to do to feel like you're helping, just don't enable. And my way of enabling is like you're giving them money. Yeah. You're basically giving them money to get high, but it's.
I always tell parents, you make the decision what enabling is. Yeah. And don't let anybody else tell you anything different.
Exactly. Nobody walks in your shoes. Just like your recovery is tailored for your needs, so is the addiction that got you there. Because you don't know what worked, what didn't work. Everybody's story is not the same, and it was a lot,
Take me to where you really, the moment where you realized things were, I read through your story, so there's a lot of hills and valleys in your story, but I think the ones that really stick out to me was when you realized that things needed to change and that there was, I think, a few things that happened. I don't want to tell your story.
No, okay,
a few things that happened that made you go, whoa, what the hell am I doing?
The sad part was I never really realized where things were at till I sobered up and was sitting in jail, unfortunately. But what made me truly, truly start thinking of things, right, was when I went to prison. And before I got there, I was sitting in county, and my dad almost died. He had health issues. And I was like, the biggest fear I've ever had in my life was losing my parents while I'm still in my addiction or while I'm locked up. Yeah. I would never come back from it. I knew it, and honestly, last year was a checked out year for me after losing mom and dad. It's like I was here, but I just autopilot, but.
Well, what was it that got you in prison?
Well, I got pulled over in McDonald County, and then I had an incident with my mom. McDonald County, I passed out in my car, my truck, and I thought I was dreaming. I've been up for so long. Drug psychosis, And it was a little town. It was like Pineville, Knoll, right before Arkansas. And the cop arrested me, cuffed me, my hands in the front, and put me in the front seat of his car. I popped off my cuffs, opened the door, and took off running. He chased me. I got tased. I thought I was dreaming. You know what I mean? And
that heavy of psychosis.
And I've never been there before, but that was the time. And I had 2 big knots on my arm from shooting up. They look like golf balls. So when I went to go to jail, they didn't know what to do. So they OR'd me. But as soon as they did that, they weren't supposed to, and a warrant picked up.
So OR?
Automatic release.
Mm-hmm. On recognizance.
Or on recognizance or something like that. OR wouldn't be automatic, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But I already had the charge with my mom. And, her and I got into an argument, and we were face to face with each other.
Going at it.
And I said, I'm so fucking sick and tired of you. You make things worse when they're already horrible. I hate you. She said, I fucking hate you too. Mm. And I went to poke her in the face like this. Well, she flung herself backwards and she tripped on the scale on the floor and broke a couple of her ribs. Mm. And she hollers for dad, and my dad comes in there. He's like, what have you done? I was like, I didn't do it. I was like, I'm starting to freak out. I was like, and at that point, I didn't know she had broke anything, and she went to the hospital. And I was like, it's just a misdemeanor. And then it was like a no bond. Well, my mom had pressed charges. She was like, it's, you either agree to go to rehab and I'll drop charges or not. Well, the state was tired of my mom doing that.
Yeah, they were going to pick the charges up.
Yeah, they said if they dropped them, they were going to pick them up. And I tried, and they made my parents the victims, so I couldn't call them from county, and try to convince them not to. They told my parents if they didn't show up to pretrial, they would get arrested. They manipulated my parents.
Yep.
They put them, and it sucked because they were like 35, Marissa Atteberry, still at large for assaulting her elderly mother, and it was all over. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so embarrassing. And when after it happened, people would throw it in my face. Didn't you beat your elderly mother? No, God dang, no, I didn't. I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm so anxious. Like, no, I didn't. That's like a horrible jacket.
So the story was orchestrated. It took on a life of its own.
Yeah, it did. And even when I got out of prison, my mom's like, how'd it go applying for the apartment? I said, they don't rent to violent offenders. And she got real quiet. And she goes, I'm sorry. And so that charge with McDonald County and that, they were ran concurrent. And when I got a county, I was doing good. You know what I mean? I was finally like, I was going to meetings, and it sucks because you think 2 days of good work requires a lifetime of pats on the back when you get clean. I had a good day. Where's my ass kissing? Why isn't everybody putting me on a pedestal? That's that unbreaked. There's a difference between narcissism and addict narcissism. I feel like as soon as you become that bad of an addict, you become a complete piece of shit narcissist.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, because we're the victim. It's everybody else's fault. The whole world's against me. And
you don't have the ability to see the damage that was done in the people's resentment or reluctance to jump on board. It takes a long time to rebuild what you destroyed.
Absolutely.
And when you have that narcissistic thought of, hey, I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
You expect everyone to be back there cheering you on.
Yeah.
And in reality is they're going, we'll see how long this lasts.
Yeah. And where I'm at my recovery now, it's like seeing friends on Facebook. Oh, I'm 30 days clean. And it's like their 5th time. And I'm like, I don't even want to congratulate. So it's like, I see that now where I'm at. It's like, I'll see it when you get a job and maintain responsibilities. Then I'll pat your back.
Yeah.
But 30 days clean, I'm not, for the 10th time this year, I'm not going to kiss your ass. I'm sorry. You know? And I know that's kind of like.
No, but you've been there.
Yeah.
You know, and like, okay, well, I need you to show more. So take the next step. Good. Step 1. Now jump on to step 2.
Yep. Absolutely. And, you know, it was getting out, getting clean. I live with mom and dad, and I did Lafayette House for 30 days, which is like 30-day inpatient. And then the other side is domestic violence treatment, women's, you know, and it's in Joplin. I love it. You know, it was actually my 2nd time going there. Because when I got that charge in McDonald County, before I caught that charge, I was clean, went there for a few months, and then went off the chains. But this is 2019. I had, you know, I was doing the meetings, chairing meetings, speaking.
Doing the work.
Doing Recovery Fest, you know, working. I was a shift manager at Billy Sims. My friend who was in Lafayette House was there. Her aunt was the general manager, and a few of us from the Lafayette House had applied there. So it was such a good, like, camaraderie of an environment of, you know, and my parents would gripe. They're like, well, shouldn't you be doing more? And they don't understand how I was so fragile mentally.
Yeah, your self-esteem is shot.
Yeah,
and
I had none.
Right. You're rebuilding.
Yeah.
You're rebuilding.
And it would make me, it's like it would come up in the mornings and they'd be like, are you going to go look for a place today? And I'm like, I'm still new in recovery. I'm kind of maintaining a job. I'd probably get 30, sometimes 40 hours a week, because I wanted time for recovery stuff. That's what I needed at that time.
Yeah.
And I got so mad. I got in a wreck with 2 of my coworkers. We went to the hospital. They prescribed me painkillers. And, you know, they T-boned us. You know, they hit us pretty hard. When I ran out, I would get some here and there from my mom, you know, which, looking back, I think, you know, she probably should have set off, you know, but she gave them here, and they were light painkillers, not trying to minimize it, you know, and then she finally was like, I can't, you're asking for too many now. I was. Same day she said that, same day somebody randomly hits me up that they had a prescription for Percocet 30s. Okay.
Ooh.
I'm like, wow. All
now
right,
you're
cool.
in the game.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's cool, and I'll take pieces of it. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm dealing with, when are you going to get your own place? When are you going to do that? Instead of saying, we're proud of you, we got a new general manager, and he didn't let me have manager shifts, which was $1 pay cut. He only scheduled me to work as an actual employee. He would talk disrespectfully to me in front of staff and customers. I don't know who you thought this was. Like, I may be small, but you are not going to talk to me like that. We'd go toe to toe. Remember, his name is Kevin. And
Kevin didn't know who he was messing with, did he?
Yeah. And like, he told employees after I quit that he was doing it to run me off. Well, I stuck around for 3 months. I did. I tried, you know, but the mental abuse he did to me, like, even my friends, like, if they were here, they'd be like, no, he was a piece of crap, you know?
Yeah.
I even called corporate, and they were just like, what do you want us to do? Something?
Yeah.
Like, control his behavior. And so in the middle, like I'm taking pills. If I didn't have pills, I didn't want to work my shift because I didn't want to hear his horrible mouth. You know, I was comfortable there because I had people that I felt like at home,
Right.
you know?
It was a community for you.
Well, I had another friend of mine who now has passed away. Chris had got me a job doing dietary aid, you know, working, which I'm sorry, but it's kind of like where you're at working in a sad environment like that can kind of be a lot.
Yeah.
Mentally, because I wanted to fix everybody in there and just especially the ones that didn't have family.
Yeah.
God, I'm such a softie. But anyways, I remember I was looking for pain pills and my friend I would hang out with, she got me some Dilaudid. Okay.
Wow.
And I remember her asking me later, she's like, did you feel it? I was like, I think so. Yeah, a little bit. You know, this is a little Dilaudid. I'm asking, I think I felt it. I told you, you're not going to feel it unless you shoot it. I don't want to get back into that yet. I didn't want to get back into that. I don't want to open that door. I opened that door. I'll tell you what, best high I've ever had. You know, and then I wouldn't only do that, I would mix it with the meth, you know, in one shot, you know. And it was...
So you're speedballing it at that point.
Yeah. And it was just like a cloud over me. I can't remember a whole lot. But it was like I would do meth if I didn't have pills. Well, I was only smoking it. It's okay because I'm smoking
So
it.
you could justify it because you were only smoking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I remember one day, you know, I've already kind of shot pills and everything. I was hanging out with my friend. She had some heroin. And I was like, I want to do some because we couldn't find no pills and there was no meth around. Just give me some heroin, you know? She gave me, loaded it up, did a little shot, and I was like, I didn't even feel it, you know? And she gave me a bigger one. It was like 30 units, and that's like the whole syringe. I was like, that's too much. She said, well, it's mostly water since you won't shut up. I was like, okay. And I did it. I was like, oh, I was joking with her. I was like, I'm overdosing. You gave me too much. I overdosed as I was joking.
Oh my gosh.
And I woke up with water all over me, paramedics around me while they were Narcaning me. And I know when people have these moments where they die, they say they have this spiritual awakening and these things. I had started going through a spiritual awakening years back. But when that happened, it was black. It was dark. I didn't see anything. You know, it was weird. It was just nothing, you know? It's because it wasn't my time. There was nothing I was supposed to see except the back of my eyelids, I guess.
Right.
Time to wake up, you know? And to backpedal a little bit, going through a spiritual awakening was having weird dreams. Like having a dream that I slit my wrist and I was happy watching myself bleed out because I was trying to kill off the old to rebirth for the new. And I talked to somebody that was more spiritually inclined than myself to help me explain these dreams and these connections and feelings I had. It was like, you know, and I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual. And you can't go through addiction and not say there's other things out there, you know? And I remember in the peak of that spiritual awakening, I remember being in county jail and they never, ever had volunteer ministers come in, right? And this was the first time I was going to go to treatment in 2018. Mm-hmm. And they said, you know, I was supposed to go to court that Monday, get released to go to treatment. And Monday came. They must have had, it was like a big trial going on. So I didn't get to go to court. And when you have a public defender, they're not going to tell you. You just have to wait for your next court.
Wait. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so here comes Tuesday. I was like, God dang, I'm starting to get discouraged. I was really wanting to try. I was really wanting to do things right. And Wednesday, who wants a volunteer minister visit? I said, you know what? I do. I was supposed to, you know, be getting out. And I want, you know, advice from a God-fearing man. Mm-hmm. He came in and he smiled real big. He had the bluest eyes I've ever seen.
Wow.
And we talked. He looked at his watch. We put our hands on the glass and he prayed with me. Okay. Here it is. A week later, I still haven't went to court. I was like, I'm very discouraged.
Right.
I was like, I'm angry. I feel like I'm having a spiritual enlightenment. You know, I was doing things to kind of create peace with a higher power, with God, whatever you may call it, because finding peace, whatever it may be, helps calm down the chaos in your addiction. I want to go. All right, go ahead and go. I go out there. It's the same guy. because I remember you. God told me a lot about you. It just overwhelms me. He says, you're one of his frontline soldiers. He's got a big plan for you.
Wow.
Checked his watch, put my hand on the glass, prayed, and he left. I've been in there years. I've never seen somebody there like that.
Wow.
You know, and I don't remember his name. That's my faulty. But, you know, those were the things. You
But
know,
it
people
stuck with you.
People were like, oh, I had a spiritual awakening, and it's just them reading some verses in a Bible. That's not what that is. Things happen you can't explain. You know what I mean? Dreams and stuff, and it connects, you know? So it was just trying, relapsing, shooting that up, overdosing, all this stuff. I ended up getting caught with a pistol, you know, but somehow me and the girl in the car, the girl told on me for having it. And she went to jail. She had a parole hold to go back to prison. Prison hold, parole hold, whatever it's called. And I bonded out and I got an attorney. Well, in the state of Missouri, because neither one of us stood on the dope or the gun, we both got charged with it.
Yep.
Well, she went to court before me, so she got charged with it. They dropped mine. In the state of Missouri, you can't charge two people at the same time with the same crime. So that's kind of what she gets for telling on me, right?
Wow.
But it did give me a weapons violation. And then I got a forgery charge and another possession out in Newton County. I got violated, and I went to prison. So, and prison was different. Well, out of my element, you know. I can raise hell in county because they know me, and I know all my people in there. Hey, we're having a good time, bro. You know.
Now, was that? I know that there was another situation that you talked about that really you described it as scaring you. That was when there was a murder.
Yes. Sorry, I did jump right over that. Listen,
yeah, let's dig into that piece.
The fear and the reality, you know. So not
was
only
it fear because you were that close to such a horrible act?
Yeah.
Or was it fear that could have been you?
All of it. All of it, being caught. Like, I'm already in the newspapers for being a junkie. But for this.
I would think that I would be something like, okay, I know where my addiction has me. I know the crimes that I commit to afford my addiction or to feed my addiction. But this is next level that I'm not going to be a part of.
Yeah. And, you know, what's scary is, like, you're hanging around the people. Do I stop hanging out with them and them think I'm part of it? Or do you keep hanging out with them and become a part of it? And I got...
you're sucked in, because if you take off, then they think you're gonna go tell their business, or if you stay in it, you're gonna go down with them.
I didn't know what to do. Well, I got the feds ran on it because it was Indian reservation ground that her body was dumped. So you had the tribal police, you had the feds, you had all of them involved, and apparently they can access stuff easily from Messenger messages. You'd be amazed of what they can access.
Oh, no.
You know, when people are like, don't message me on Messenger, do it on my phone. They can get that too. So just...
Oh, yeah, there's not... anything you're messaging on, they can get it.
Yeah, so if you want to talk
that
dirt,
forensic psychology, or that forensics, whatever they do on your phones anymore, there's nothing safe.
Yeah, and it was scary because, like, they had got our messages and seen where I had her come over to the house she disappeared from. So they were trying to paint a picture of, so did you bring her over there to... Did
you lure her in?
Yeah, and it was terrifying. Oh, no. And so I had to go to grand jury trial.
But you already had... I'm kind of walking through this.
Yeah.
You already had a reputation.
Yeah.
For the trouble you were living in your own life.
Yeah.
And now a murder comes in that you're attached to in a way.
Yeah.
And so now you need the police to believe you.
Yeah.
Where before you were like, no, fuck you. Prove your case. Now you're like, oh shit, I'm going to go down for a murder I had nothing to do with.
And a buddy of mine who did Fed time, he said, you got summoned to grand jury trial? I said, yeah, I'm running. He said, you can't. This isn't county court. You're not going to go sit in a jail cell in county for 30 days. This is federal stuff. This is where you decide whose life's more important, yours or theirs.
Exactly.
And that was like the harshest reality.
And that was a friend of yours?
Yeah. And
well, I'm just going to tell you, he did you a huge favor.
He did. He did. And God rest his soul, he's no longer here.
I'm sorry to hear that. But he did you a huge favor by clearing out all of the bullshit and delivering the message that you could hear.
Yeah. And I didn't even say anything. I just had to confirm what messages they had between us. Mm-hmm. That was it. I mean, I could have lied, but what would that done? I would have got arrested and I would have got indicted just right along with 11 people got indicted on that. 11, you know? So it was to the point, like, I kind of was around him because I still wanted to feel like I was involved, and I didn't want to know that I'm not around, like, are they talking about me? Because I might know and this and that. But it's like anytime you're around them, you fed FBI SUVs were always...
Yeah.
It was unreal. It was
unrealistic. You had to probably walk a really tight line there because disappearing, they would have been looking for you, thinking that you had, rolled over on them.
Yeah.
But if you stayed too close to it, you're going to get burned by the fire.
Yeah. And it was like, so to compensate feeling some type of way, I just was getting so high, getting so crazy, carrying guns on me, and this and that, like watching my back.
Pretty paranoid at that point.
Yeah, I was because, and other people who were involved, they were supposedly getting hits and stuff out on them. I was like, it was wild. And I was like, and the Fed guy, he came, I think his name was like Mark or something. He came and talked to me in county. He's like, so you just don't know anything other than these messages. And I, whatever it was, I didn't want to be involved. I already had to say what it was between those messages. And I remember him seeing me in county, he goes, all right, I was just checking. He goes, you look a lot better sober. And it had only been a month. And I was like, yeah, I feel a little bit better. I was like, I don't want to be part of that stuff no more. That kind of little too much for me. I signed up to go get high and rob people and do dumb stuff. I didn't sign up for that. That was the devil right there. I don't want no part of that.
So go back and tell me how you ended up in county jail, because that probably is what saved you.
It did. My parents didn't want me to come over at the house. They changed the garage door opener on me. They didn't want me there. And I was hanging out with this other chick, and I was like, we had nowhere to go. I was like, we're just going to go to my parents' house and crash. If I'm nice to them, maybe they'll let us stay. We pull up, cop pulls up behind us. I had a probation violation for failed UAs, weapons violation for the gun, and the new charge for Newton County. So I was just...
So they took you off the streets.
Yeah, they did. And
so for our audience, let's tie that together.
Okay.
They took you off the streets.
Yeah.
Which took you out of having to walk that fine line between this investigation and staying 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
So that you didn't become a liability for them. Now you're sitting in jail.
Yeah.
And it pulled you out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly, I think those 11 people indicted, from what I heard, like even the brothers told on each other. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, when you get to that point, you're talking to help yourself.
Yeah. And I'm lucky that my involvement was just due to the messages between me and the victim had, which were very minimal. I'm glad it was that, because I didn't want to be involved. I don't care if I knew everything. I don't want to be involved. I don't want this. Just leave me alone. Let me go about my day. But apparently everybody was telling, and this person was saying this and that. There was so many people, and it was the most bizarre situation I've ever came close to being involved in,
So sitting in county jail probably gave you a chance to go, whew.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's, they wanted to give me a 120, which would have been treatment. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you can't work on your education, which I didn't have GED or high set. And I was like, I don't want to do, they're like, if you take your backup, you'll come out on parole. And somehow the way they told me to manipulate the numbers, if you take your backup, it's like 28 days to the year. And the way we calculate it is like, so I'll basically do like 140 days. I'd rather do that and come out on parole than do 120 treatment, come out on probation, restart it over. But when I took that backup, I did 3 years. It's crazy how that works, because I guarantee you 120, I would have been right back at it. you know?
Right. That 3 years gave your time, your mental stability and your maturity to all work together.
For sure. And, you know, when I was in Vandalia, me and a friend got in trouble for horseplaying. Okay. Considered a sexual. They got me for a sexual because we were like playing around. I thought I could act in prison like you could in county.
Yeah. No.
It's a little bit different, you know? Anyways, I remember being in the hole and we were getting ready to go to Chillicothe, from Vandalia to Chillicothe. And your caseworker comes down and teams you. And usually for stuff like that, it's like 10 days and they let you out. But there had been a big snowstorm. So she didn't come to team me on it until after the 10 days. She's like, I'm giving you 10 days ADSEG, which ADSEG is...
Administrative segregation.
Thank you. And she said, and I hit the mic, you told me not to. Didn't hit it hard though. But anyway, she said, I'm giving you 10 days ADSEG. And I was like, okay, well then it's 10 days served because I've done that. She goes, no, it starts today. I was like, so then you're giving me 20. No. Just say you're giving me 20 because my mind will process it differently. But if you're saying 10 and it starts today, but I've already done 10, and I was like, I go back to myself. I was like, I'm pissed. I don't want to go to the new prison in the hole because if I was still in the hole when we got transferred, I would have went straight to the new prison in the hole. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want that jacket on me. I talk to God sometimes, you know, and I was like, man, I really, really want to try. I really want to do this thing. Have my back. I don't want to go. I'm really going to try. You know, I really want to do things better for myself and make my parents proud. She came back an hour later, pack your stuff, you're getting out. Somebody listened to me that day. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a caseworker, whether it's God, the higher power, universe, whatever it was.
Well, you didn't lose your shit on her.
No.
Right?
No.
You sat and listened to it. You didn't like it. Maybe it gave her a chance to go back and reflect on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So I had to be on my best behavior because somebody was going to give me karma if I didn't, you know? So I tried my best. And being in prison in an environment where you're put in positions to bring you out of character and out of pocket, and you had to pretend like you didn't want involvement in it because, I call my parents every day. And, you know, one of the things that resonates with me still to this day is my dad saying, please just get your life together. Please, so you can come home, be a part of this family, and I can hug you one more time before I die.
Wow.
And
yeah.
That's deep. And I said, promise me you'll be in okay health till I get out. And we both promised each other that, you know. And being in prison, you know, I did treatment. They pulled me from the yard to do it, and which is, like I said, behavior modification more than anything. But it took you out of that prison environment. It's different politics. Mm-hmm. I started thinking about my life. I started thinking about my future.
Introduced you to new ways of thinking.
Goals, things that I might want. Mm-hmm. I decided when I got out that I was going to go to the Journey program in Kansas City. I'm from Joplin.
Yeah.
That's out of my element. But I felt like my parents still had some resentment and nervousness of me coming home. I took it personal. What do you mean? I've been doing good in prison. We've been getting along. How dare you? How shame on you for criticizing me without me proving my point first. I'm a victim here. Right. There it goes, you know. But I'm not mad about it. My brother and me, we haven't been close over the years, but guess who's the one that came and picked me up when I got out?
Awesome.
My brother. And, you know, I went to the Journey program. I had to finish, which the way they do your education in prison. I got all my subjects accomplished, but my math. I got out, took my math. I finished the outpatient treatment class. I did anger management in prison. I did everything the board stipulated me to do. Come on, let's get this going. Take me, you know, I'm ready to, you know.
I'm ready to get on with the rest of my life.
I am. And right when I graduated, Rediscover, the outpatient treatment class I had to do, my dad passed a week later.
Oh, my.
You know what I mean? And it was really hard, you know. It was super hard. Now, mind you, when I was in prison, I met somebody, you know. I feel like when you have an untraditional way of living, whether you're in your addiction or sobriety, untraditional ways follow you. Mm-hmm. I met someone in prison. She became my best friend. Brittany's her name, who's now my wife.
Oh, very cool.
And I got out, came back, and we got married. And we've learned a lot, definitely with both of us being broken, you know, and her being in there, now me out here. You're just going to fall off. Well, you're just going to move on to the next, you know. We learned and we've grown from each other, you know. We support each other, you know. Things haven't been perfect, but they've been perfect for us.
Right.
And having her there through that has been a lot. She's pushed me. You know, I'd get mad at her some days, you know, which I know in her mind, it's like, she feels bad she can't physically be here.
Right.
But venting about my dad, and it was like I would, you know, because I lost my mom 8 months later. And I would go from Kansas City to Joplin every weekend to see her. And it was just, and then after I lost my mom, I think that hit me harder because of the bad relationships we had. And everybody's like, well, you got clean. So it's like, it's okay. No, it's not, because I think about the what ifs, the woulda, coulda, shouldas.
Well, you think about all of the wasted time. Right?
Yeah.
You
That's why I have a clock. All the time I took advantage of.
You think about all of the things that were done and said in active addiction that you didn't get enough time to make up for.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my precious little mom, she just like, and you know, after I lost my dad, you know, I got this new car just so it was good on gas mileage. You know, she co-signed for me, and I wish my dad was here because he gets so mad at my addiction. He's like, I just want to get your oil changed. I don't care. I'm too high. I don't care. This car. I've got my oil changed. I maintained this car so well. I wish my dad was here to see it.
Just for your dad, didn't you?
Yeah. And, but I go down every weekend and see mom. Man, we kicked it. You know, I cooked for her. We hung out. I cleaned the house for her. I wish she was still here, you know.
You showed up for her the way she needed you to show up.
Absolutely. And I mean, we kicked it, and everybody's seen us. If you go on my Facebook, you'll see a picture of us dancing to Glow in the mirror together. Because I was one day over there. So I'm like, Mom, put your sunglasses on and come in the bathroom. We're doing a video. And she's like, okay. She hates rap music, by the way. You know, because I was raised on music, in love with them, you know, from Bob Dylan, the Eagles, to Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
So rap music to people that were raised on that stuff is, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, and me and Brittany, we got married. She's doing great things in her life. And I've had the pleasure of meeting all three of her kids.
So what do you think your parents would say about Brittany?
They would like her. Absolutely.
Does that make you feel good?
Yeah.
Good.
Because, you know, like I said, I started sulking a lot. And because she wasn't here physically, you know, hug me, whatever, for losing my parents, it's like you have to toughen up. And I would get so mad at her, but she was right. I can't, because I sulked in my emotions for a year.
Well, you needed to self-soothe yourself.
Exactly.
You needed to be able to, you couldn't have the connection of an emotional, you know, touch, feel of another human being, somebody that you love and care about. So you have to be able to do your own self-healing, your own self-soothing to get you through that.
And sometimes you have to be remembered that some people were raised in a way where you don't and can't show emotion. And when you're in prison, the only thing you can say is, I'm sorry, I hate that. And they can only do that so much.
Right.
So sometimes you have to take your feelings and deal with them on your own, which I know that's kind of a weird concept. And not saying that people don't want to be there, but they can only do so much for you. You know, and she's got a little more time to do, and I'm ready for her to get out. I signed us up for Love After Lockup, you know. So
oh, how exciting.
Yeah, she wanted it. I don't know. So we'll see.
We'll
see where
see if that happens for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so awkward. I don't know. Maybe they'll hit us up.
Well, maybe that's exactly what they need on the show.
I know. That's what everybody says. They said,
Yeah.
you guys don't have enough drama. I was like, do you have to have a destroyed relationship for the show to thrive? I mean,
Right. Maybe we'll get to hear more about that as that comes together for you.
yeah.
So where are you at today?
Well, where I'm at today, I've had the same job a month after I've got out of prison. I work at in Kansas City. They've been great with me. They were good to me with losing both my parents. They had my back. They made sure I had the time off. When it was coming up to packing up mom's house, they made sure that I was, you know, they're basically, if they could have said, what do you need from us? We can provide, you know, and I think that's why I've stuck to this job so much, because it's like a family
they believe in you.
environment.
They believe in you, so they're supporting you through it.
Right. And I've had the same, I moved out of the Journey program and lived with a friend to finish off her lease because I wasn't quite ready for my own place.
Okay.
which where I'm at in my life, I realize roommates suck.
Yes,
I
they do.
I don't want to live with nobody. I don't have no ill feelings towards her, but it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
And I've got my own apartment. I'm going on my this September. If I sign a new lease, will be my 3rd year.
Wow.
You know, I pay my rent on time. Apparently, I'm responsible.
So you're adulting.
I am, and not only
Full
this,
on adulting.
yeah, and I'm super responsible. So my parents did raise me right.
Right.
Turns out.
Right.
And I got to meet my wife's kids, Tristan, Dason, and Ella. And they're my little crew, man. I pick them up like every weekend, every other weekend.
And you feel some responsibility there, don't you?
Yeah.
And feel like you need to give some great advice and help point them in the right direction?
Yeah, her middle is 12, just turned 12. And I'll tell her, I'm like, she's getting at that age where she's wanting to wear makeup. Am I supposed to tell her no? I'm like, let me find out I'm strict. You know what I mean? You know, put a loose fit turtleneck on and no makeup.
Right.
You know what I mean? Stay in your Bible. I don't even stay in my Bible, but you need to. No boys. Look at the wall. Don't breathe boys' air. They're no good. They only want one thing.
Cooties.
I know. And I'm like, sound like my father. So it's okay. And they're great. You know, I love to hang out with them. I'm actually taking the youngest on the 24th to a Royals game. He's already went to one. I went to a Cardinals game, but my first Royals game. So, and, you know, I've learned a lot about myself and my capability. Everybody from my town back home has gotten clean. And my friends Shauna and Rhino, they have a ministry group, Proof Ministries. And they have just, I don't think if they didn't have that so many people wouldn't gravitate to them and get clean. It's phenomenal. I love that for them.
So they're giving them a place.
Yeah, a safe place. Absolutely. I could have went there, but I felt like I would have piggybacked on what everybody else was doing.
You needed to walk your own path.
And that's what I needed, you know, and I'm not discrediting people for who are, you know, in recovery or do this and that. I wanted to see what I was capable. Everything I've done.
You did it.
I did it.
That's right.
I figured it out through the hard times, you know, with my job, you know, with this layoff that we had. I figured out everything. I've done it, you know, and I got so mad that the board stipulated me to do outpatient treatment when I got out. What are you doing? That's part of my process I want to do. And that's not part of my process that I'm doing. How are you guys going to tell me what I need to do? And I had to start at the bottom. So at the bottom of these outpatient treatment classes was also with people straight off the street still getting high. So how are you going to do that to me? How are you going to, you know what? Surrendering. To realize that part of your process is sometimes going about the process. Because sometimes part of your process isn't your process. You have to go along and just do the general process of life.
Right.
And some of your things you have in there is part of it. Some of the stuff you
Well, there's something there you didn't get the first time, so we're going to make you go back and start it at this level so you pick up those pieces this time.
Right. And maybe it wasn't for me. It's for others.
Right.
You know, and
maybe you were supposed to be in those rooms to share your story to help somebody else.
Yeah, and it's really like it's how you look at things. Just like I said when I went to the hole. Don't tell me you're giving me 10 days and it starts today. Just say 20. Because to me, in my mind, if you say 20, then that makes me feel I'm halfway through.
Right.
But if you say 10 days starting today, it feels like my time's just starting. It's crazy how your mind processes things, you know? So I learned I'm not a brat. I'm not going to get my way. I'm not going to get everything in my favor. But guess what the best part is? I'm in a part in my life where I can appreciate what things are. I'm content in my life. You know, my wife gets out. I have a trust set up after losing mom and dad, and that's very lucky for me. And I get to buy a home. I get to do things responsible. You know, I know my brother.
How good does that make you feel to know that you're going to be able to show your parents, I can do this?
Yeah.
And thank you for helping me. Thank you for not giving up on me and making sure that I had the ability to do it.
Absolutely. You know, and it's just like seeing how responsible I am and like my zero tolerance too. I became like a cranky old fart sometimes. I'm like, if I could, I'd spray kids get off my lawn, you know, not really, but it's just like you see people, especially when people are still out there past their 30s. I'm like, people are like, oh, stop feeling sorry for them. Stop it. They're grown. I did it on my own in a big ass city. And you know, the first street I lived on was Wabash, right there, 55th and Wabash, when I lived with that girl. You know where that's at? 55th and Prospect, basically.
Yeah.
I was a little out of my element.
Yeah.
My car's got a bullet hole in it because it was just at the wrong spot.
Because it was just sitting there. And there was a
there.
rolling gunfire. Yeah.
And it's taught me a lot about myself. I love knowing that what life throws at me, I'm able to figure it out. I was able to do that in my addiction for toxic things.
Right.
Now I can do it in a way that projects healthy behavior, you know?
So the skills were always there. It was just a matter of honing them in on what you needed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I always said to Stephen, you hustle to get everything you need. And then when you go through recovery, you act like you're helpless. You're not helpless. You just need to refocus those skills and point them in the direction of where you need to go.
Yep. And that's our victim mentality. Oh,
yeah.
Nobody's giving it to me. Because you know what? As an addict, we get money fast. We get drugs quick. That's that instant gratification. And it's a learned process, learning to work for something.
Right.
There's things that I want right now, but I've got a little more work to do before I achieve certain things.
Right.
And that's okay. I'm learning that.
How proud are you of yourself?
Extremely. Extremely.
Well, I'm sure your parents would be proud of you too.
Yeah, for sure. I know they would be. I know they're looking down on me. I have my moments. My job had a whole bunch of overtime. I worked like 12 days straight.
I watched that.
I know, and I was like 6 of the days were like 12-hour shifts, right? And on that last day I came home, I was so tired. And the Eagles, Taking It Easy, comes on. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, and I'm starting to sing it. I'm not going to sing it for you now.
Took you back home, didn't it?
Yeah.
Took you back home.
And then it's like Hotel California right after that. And I was like, I felt like it was my parents that were there.
They were just sitting there along for the ride with you.
Yeah, and I sit in my car blaring it, singing it, crying, mostly because I'm tired from work. But like, God, I wish they were here to see it. Mm-hmm. But I think those songs were showing me that they were here.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely a message. It was definitely a message.
Yeah.
I don't think that stuff always happens out of just coincidence. I think they're little nods, little winks from heaven, for sure.
And and it's like, I would love for them to know that, like, yes, my wife is still incarcerated, but I hold the fort down.
Yeah.
I take care of stuff. Anything she needs from me, she knows I got it. With her, the kids, like, it's great to feel like you're relied on in that aspect. And here's the great part. All that attention I wanted when I was a kid, that toxic attention because I got in trouble. I like the wow factor when I surprise people, the amazing things I'm doing. Like, oh, wow, great. I love that. That's a high.
You've transferred that.
Yeah,
You've transferred that in such a positive manner instead of it being the shock and awe of what you've done offensively. Now you want the shock and awe at what you've accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's my motto is, which I saw you had, you took it in, but my motto is, boundaries. And I want everybody to eat, just not everybody at my table. Mm-hmm. And here's my thing, I know I want to help people, but I want to help people who want help. I want to give them advice and resources because they want help, not because they want $10 on Cash App. No, I'm not sending any money. Right. I work too hard, and my thing is I hate it when people are like, I'll never get high again. Don't ever say that. You'll get humbled. Because I said that before prison. Mm-hmm. And, but what I will say is I'm very good at setting boundaries and eliminating myself from situations that could put me in that environment. Anybody who's super clean, I don't care if they're 20 years, don't say never.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right.
You never know.
So at the end of my podcast, I always want to ask, what, if your life was a movie, what would that title be?
I don't know what the title would be, but I tell you what, Quentin Tarantino would be the one to direct it.
There you go.
It's like, so it's dark humor, and I'm like, yeah, it's where it's at.
I know. Those movies are amazing. Anything he's got his hands in, we enjoy that. So how can people find you on social media?
Well, I'm on TikTok, Rizzo417. Apparently that was an original one. Facebook is Marissa Atteberry. You'll see Rizzo on there. I don't really do a whole lot of other social media. Mm-hmm. I have an Instagram, but I don't get on it. I have a TikTok, but I use it to talk to the kids.
You've got a great TikTok game, though.
Yeah.
I catch your stuff on TikTok.
I know. Listen, I'll get these days where I get so, like, consistent with posting, and kudos to those content creators that work and still post, because I'll get off a long day of work. I'm like, I have nothing to say except leave me alone.
You've seen mine at work.
Yeah.
I've done posts at work and going, oh, I hope nobody at work sees my post.
Oh, that's what I do, because we can't have phones in the vehicle. Mm-hmm. I did like a voiceover in one of the vehicles to my walkie-talkie. It's like when I have a walkie at work, how I feel. It's the Buzz Lightyear. And I showed it to one of my supervisors. He's like, is that one of the work vehicles? I'm like, just say it's funny. Don't ruin it now.
Right.
I was on break.
Well, I can tell you right now, I just happened upon you on TikTok is how I decided I was going to visit with you. And I knew right from the get-go that there was something genuine about you. And I said, this girl needs a platform to tell her story. So I am honored that you came and sat down with me and shared your story. I know that this is not over with. I know you got more chapters of your story. So let's see where this goes, and maybe we'll have you come back. And when your wife gets home from prison, maybe we need to sit down and have another conversation and invite her to the conversation.
She's definitely got a good story to tell.
Great.
So.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had a great talk with Rizzo, and we're really excited to see what's in the future for her. We thank you for joining us. Until next time.